just as the Irish, who are fighting to free their land after 800 years and who are well aware that the struggle must continue after the Brits have been kicked out, for economic domination must also end. Political representance is only the prerequisite for conquering economic domination. Wherever it goes, the imperialist state must protect its investment with violence. The Brits have a free hand against the Republican movement through the use of force against the Republican movement, through the use of drug gangs, such as those who cowardly murdered Alan and Vinnie Ryan, while the South is subject to imperialists, including Canada, whose people the people in the occupied 6 counties are subject to cuts, such as the personal independence pension, which is
how goes?
Austerity.
Well, how's the form?
Okay, good. We're going to have you up next, so stay here. Don't hang up. Wrap up
Hold on,
this,
so
Jonathan.
Okay.
Let's give me background here quick, Julian. What is it?
It's an ILPS conference. It's the thing. I was trying to get a hold of you all week. Someone's speaking. Just talk about Irish sovereignty and the struggle for Irish sovereignty, just like from like a grassroots perspective. Okay, wrap up, Jonathan. Sorry.
All right.
We have Raf on. Okay.
The Irish people are once again forced with the prospect of direct rule from Britain on their land. The 32 CSM, 20 years ago, predicted the breakdown of Stormont when their organization was founded. Those who yearned for the glory days of colonialism, when Britain was a waxing imperialist power, might have cheered most vociferously for Britain to leave the European Union, but they could not foresee the colonial contradictions that would once again bring up the question of Irish sovereignty. As those fighting colonialism now understand firsthand in their struggle for survival. Tory austerity is now backed up by a coalition with the DUP, the political arm of violent unionist organizations in the north. There's a lot of loose talk, about how the parliament in Britain is unstable, but they forget that the sort of government we're seeing today can last as long as 5 years, such as was the case with John Major. The political situation will not take care of itself through the infallible workings of one parliamentary power. It is up for the Republican movement to seize the time. Even under intense state and extrajudicial repression, the 32 CSM has been able to continue its work by giving a clear and concrete analysis of the situation of Britain's colonial role in Ireland. Now, the analysis is one part, but equally as important is the dimension of mass work which the organization carries out, as is the case in the Cregan Community Collective and the Proclamation Project. Our movement has been able to grow and unite with those who have common ground significantly without conceding to opportunism. When there is a threat to our movement from the state and to our movement from the state, it allows us to build unity on principle rather than cooperation on convenience. Our principle is proletarian internationalism. The attempts to keep revolutionaries apart will be for nothing as long as those who are listening believe in justice and have also the courage to act. The struggle for Irish freedom has been fought in the territory of Canada when it was still a part of the British Empire, back when the Fenian Brotherhood campaigned against the Empire, such as the struggle for socialism was led in Ireland when Lenin recognized James Connolly's Irish Citizen Army as the first of its kind, as the first Red Army in Europe. The 32 CSM also undertakes social and political work in occupied Canada. It has demonstrated the capabilities for mass work and growth by sustaining the political voice of communities and advocacy and the social struggle.
And also fucking up the royal visits.
And also fucking up the royal visit. The 32 CSM's work fights the stigma around drug dealers who are suffering from a health issue and forced to cope with the shortcoming of the health system, which the ruling class here tout as the greatest in the world, pretend so exists. They have strong links to the Two-Spirit community and LGBT communities whose problems are amplified by colonialism. The history of gender and people's relationships are subject to a serious lack of historical understanding, and this is a vital health and housing issue. As communists aren't people who build imaginary plans in the peace of their armchairs. Those are utopians. We need to recognize the difficulties of the struggle and that winning puts us against those who wield tremendous and oftentimes intimidating power. Colonialism and capitalism are the methods of those who deal in death and base their dominance on the ever-present threat. Republicans represent the will of the people and advocate for a society based on that. When we advocate for our rights, for them to be recognized when they are not, whenever